My name's Dianne Daggett, and I have the pleasure of serving as your moderator, and I've been doing that for the past few years. The purpose of this gathering is a forum for local voters to gather information prior to casting your votes. We are trying to keep the forum within 2 hours, and with as many people as we have shown up, that's going to be a little tough, but we're going to work on it. So we're hoping that each candidate will have 4 minutes, and of course we'll be monitoring that. Thank you to the Wallowa County Fair Board and Wallowa County for giving us this venue free of charge to use. For the committee members, Chuck Anderson, our incredible forum director, who's in the back at the table. Jason Stein, who's representing the Wallowa County Chamber. Burch, representing the Rotary Club of Wallowa County. And Dianne, representing the Wallowa County Stock Growers. Those 3 groups are the sponsors of this forum. And our technical Zoom guru is Tom Hill. We couldn't do this without him. Tom has allowed us to bring the forum to other citizens in the county who can't actually be here tonight, and they are joining via Zoom. So, as I said, we're going to try and keep the forum itself to 2 hours because we want you to hear from the candidates, but we also want you to have time to interact with them. We've asked the candidates to stay afterwards so that you can ask individual questions of them, gather information from them. Many of them have tables around the outside of the room, as you can see. Our timer for presentations, which are 4 minutes long, and questions, which are 2 minutes long, is Dick. He's been timing for some time, and he's going to give the candidates a 30-second warning. Okay.
30 seconds.
And then when time is up, it sounds like this. The rotary bell. As I mentioned, candidates who responded and are participating will have 4 minutes to introduce themselves. For local candidates, we're going to start with them first. And we do have, as I mentioned earlier, we do have some questions. Questions are taken from the floor as you come in, from the public on the spot. There's no questions that are created beforehand, so they're coming from the audience tonight. They have been put in a can back there. We do have a couple of our leaders who are jurying the questions to make sure they're appropriate for all the candidates in terms of the local candidates. And each of them will answer the same 2 questions that are chosen by our jurors. So that way candidates know that no candidate got a question in advance. Okay, so we are going to start with a county commissioner position. And I want all 5 candidates to come up for position 2 and 3. Cody Lathrop, Stacey Karboski, Paul Flanders, John Hillock, and Merle Bixby.
I believe in collaboration. I believe in listening first and acting thoughtfully. After 3 decades of service in this community, I'm not running to make noise. I'm running to do the full-time work. The work of stewarding public resources carefully, of finding practical, efficient ways to get things done, of keeping Wallowa County rural. My path here wasn't political. Those who know me know that campaigning is not my forte, but service is. My adult life has been rooted in it. Nearly 4 decades ago, I felt called to serve in a meaningful way. That journey brought me to Oregon, and in 1993 to Wallowa County, where I spent 25 years at Wallowa Valley Center for Wellness, working in mental health and crisis services. That work shaped how I approach challenges. I listened carefully. I work to understand what's really going on. I bring people together and find solutions that work. Let me be clear about where I stand on issues that matter. For thousands of years, Native people depended on this area's natural resources. Today, farming, ranching, and timber are not just industries. They are the foundation of our community and depend on those same natural resources. Protecting working lands is a top priority of mine. I support smart land use planning and will work directly with producers and timber leaders to ensure their voices are heard. At the same time, recreation and tourism are significant economic assets. We don't have to choose one over the other. I believe in supporting agriculture, timber, recreation, and tourism together so they strengthen each other and build a more resilient economy. That also means working with tribal, state, and federal partners to improve forest health, reduce wildfire risk, maintain access to public lands, and manage wildlife responsibly. Public safety is a core responsibility of the county. I will prioritize support for the Sheriff's Office, 911, search and rescue, and emergency services, ensuring they have the resources they need while maintaining fiscal responsibility. Healthcare and education are just as critical. While the county doesn't run these systems, a commissioner must be a strong advocate. With my background in mental health, I understand access to care is important for the long-term health of our community. I've heard clearly we need more housing for working families and those who want to age in place. I support practical solutions like infill development, replacing substandard housing, and exploring new models for elder care.
30 seconds.
People can stay in our community as they grow older. You and I won't agree on every issue, but know this: I will show up daily, I will listen, I will do the work. Every decision I make will be grounded in what's best for Wallowa County, not politics, not noise. If that's the kind of county commissioner you want, I ask for your vote.
Your next county commissioner, because I believe that people want steady leadership, clear priorities, and a county government that works as hard as they do. We're ready for a plan that reflects who we are, where we want to go, and how we want to get there together. We need a roadmap to build with your voices at the center. That's why I propose the creation of a 5-year strategic plan shaped by surveys, listening sessions, and conversations. And it won't sit on a shelf. It will set measurable goals, assign responsibility, and include regular public check-ins. When we plan with purpose, we stop reacting to emergencies and start preventing them. From infrastructure to staffing to how we serve families and seniors. Your tax dollars deserve careful, transparent management. I propose the implementation of department dashboards to track inventory and project equipment needs years ahead of schedule. So we replace vehicles and critical tools on a schedule, not in a panic. And by planning with department heads for the next decade, we build budgets that are justified, efficient, and easy for public to follow. That means fewer surprises, more money going to basics, road services, and preparedness. Government should feel close, not distant. I will hold quarterly listening sessions across the county, offer lunch with the commissioner for direct one-on-one conversations, but listening only matters if it leads to action. So after each session, we'll publish what we heard, what we're doing next, and timelines on follow-up. You'll know where to go, and we'll be able to see how your ideas shape decisions. We'll stay ahead of risk by conducting county-wide risk assessments to prevent costly issues before they arise, like deferred maintenance and rising insurance exposure. A small problem caught early is almost always cheaper than a crisis later. I'll keep a close watch on state legislation so we can advocate early for what protects our county. That means showing up, speaking up, and working with partners to make sure local voices are heard. We have the people, the resources, and the determination to move forward. What we need now is leadership that listens with a purpose and follows through. If you want a county government that is transparent, prepared, and grounded in everyday realities, I'm ready to do that work. I'm asking for your vote, and I'm asking you to stay involved because the best outcomes happen when the public is not an audience but a partner. Thank you.
And thank you for the opportunity to be here. I'd like to thank the Wallowa County Chamber of Commerce, the Rotary Club, the Stock Growers Association, and everyone who made this event possible. My name is Cody Lathrop, and I'm running for Wallowa County Commissioner, position number 2. I was born and raised right here in Wallowa County. This place isn't just where I live, it's who I am. It taught me the values I carry into every role I've ever had. Hard work, personal responsibility, service, and showing up when people are counting on me. Those values led me to serve our country in combat, where I learned what steady, decisive leadership looks like when the stakes are high. When I came home, I committed my life back to this community. Today, I serve as mayor of Enterprise and as a teacher in the Enterprise School District. I work with students, family, and community members every day, and I see both the challenges we face and the opportunities ahead. I don't just talk about them, I work on them. I'm running because Wallowa County deserves leadership that is strong, prepared, and fully committed to the people who live here. My campaign is built around 3 priorities, what I like to refer to as the 3 Ps. First, a prosperous economy. A strong county starts with a strong economy. That means supporting agriculture, small businesses, timber, trades, healthcare, and local entrepreneurship. County government can't control everything, but it can set the tone, either helping people succeed or by getting in the way. I believe it should be practical, responsive, and focused on creating real opportunities. We also need to make sure our young people can see a future here, not just a place they grew up, but a place they can stay, work, and raise a family. Second, proactive leadership. Strong leadership doesn't wait for problems to grow. It plans ahead, communicates clearly, and acts before challenges become crises. As mayor, I've been doing exactly that, working closely with department leaders, supporting the people that do the job every day, and stepping in to make decisions when they're needed. I'm not afraid of tough conversations, especially when accountability and your tax dollars are on the line. That means supporting county departments, strengthening public safety, improving emergency preparedness, and staying ahead of issues instead of reacting to them. Because when leadership is engaged and paying attention, the entire county is stronger for it. Third, being a proponent for the people of Wallowa County. County government should never lose sight of who it works for. Every community is different, and leadership means listening, showing up, and understanding those differences. But listening alone isn't enough. It means being willing to stand up, to speak clearly, to advocate strongly, and to make sure local voices are heard when decisions are being made that affect our lives, our livelihoods, and our future. The people of Wallowa County deserve more than a seat at the table. They deserve a strong voice in the room. That's what I intend to be. Now, I also want to be very clear about something. This position deserves full-time focus, energy, and commitment. And that's exactly what I'll bring to it. I'm ready to put in the time, the effort, and the work it takes to do this job right. I bring energy, I bring urgency, and I bring a willingness to step forward,
30 seconds.
take responsibility, and lead. Because we can protect what makes Wallowa County special while still building a strong future. We can support our core industries, strengthen our government, and create opportunities for the next generation. I'm not running just to hold a position. I'm running to lead. Wallowa County deserves strong leadership, a strong economy, and a strong voice, and I'm ready to deliver on all 3. I'd be honored to earn your support and your vote. Thank you.
Chief Joseph Day's coronation last night, I was thinking about Ella and Aspen, 2 wonderful young ladies who will represent Wallowa County this year. And I tell you, there's nothing that puts this county into clearer focus than watching young women from right here stand up, represent Wallowa County, its culture, its heritage, and its people. I've carried this quote of Ronald Reagan's around in the back of my mind for years. Speaking about the presidency in 1988, he said, "When you become president of the United States, you're given temporary custody of an institution called the presidency, which belongs to our people. The county commissioner seat works the same way. This office belongs to you, all of you. My job is to take care of it, work in the public's interest, fight for it, and when I need to, hand it back in better shape than I found it. At my business, I never turn off my phone. If people don't have power or water or heat, I respond. The commissioner position is a 24-hour day, 7-day-a-week job. I'm used to that. When the power goes out, when the roads wash out, when there's a crisis, you want someone who already knows the territory someone who picks up the phone and responds. After the hailstorm hit the city of Wallowa in '22, I helped secure over $2 million in disaster relief for this community. We covered windows, we set up standby generators, we were making emergency repairs, and working the phones at the same time. That's what a rural commissioner does. When COVID hit and your county needed a testing machine, I called the governor's office directly. I'm not affiliated with either party. That turned out to be an advantage. I called the governor, asked for help. We got the machine, our people got the care they needed. He asked us to stop the Forest Service from closing our backcountry roads, and we stopped them. I worked to get salvaged timber into the hands of a local mill so those jobs stayed here instead of letting burned trees rot on the hillside. I helped pass a wolf management policy because 67 wolves in 11 packs is not a number you can manage reactively. We need to be proactive. I'm proud of the work we did to preserve the Wallowa Lake moraine, protecting landscape for the next generation. In 1988, when the school district was losing funding due to state budget cuts, we were about to lose art, home economics, and vocational agriculture. A group of us banded together to form the Enterprise Education Foundation. We funded those classes with your help for several years. I'm proud to be a founding member of that foundation. I want to keep pressing on federal land access and timber management. The economics of this county shifted when those Forest Service revenues dropped. I'm not going to stop pushing for change. When you vote for me, you're picking a neighbor, you're picking someone who's been in this county for 56 years, who's run a business here and raised a family here. While all the other candidates make promises to work on wolves, natural resources, health care, and emergency response and education, I've been there and I've done that. I'm asking for your vote. Give me temporary custody of this institution, and I'll continue to make this a place your children and grandchildren can come home to.
I'm Raleigh Bixby, and thank you to the Wallowa County Chamber of Commerce, the Rotary Club of Wallowa County, and the Wallowa County Stock Growers for hosting today's forum. And thank you to all of you for being here and taking the time to be involved. Wallowa County is a special place. It's not just where we live, it's where we start our businesses, we build our lives, raise our families, where our kids go to school, and where we plan for the future. And that's worth protecting. I'm running for county commissioner because I care deeply about this community. And I believe steady, practical leadership matters right now more than ever. I was raised on a wheat ranch in Eastern Oregon, and growing up in agriculture, you learn pretty quickly that nothing is handed to you. You show up, you solve problems, and you take responsibility for what's in front of you. Those lessons have stayed with me. Today, my family and I run a cattle and hay operation here in Wallowa County. My wife serves our community as a registered nurse, and we're raising our son Lance here. Like many families, we want to know this will continue to be a place where hard work matters and where there's opportunity to build a life for us and the next generation. And like a lot of you, I don't overcomplicate what I expect from local government. I just want it to work, and I want it to work well. Through my work with the Wallowa County Stock Growers, the Soil and Water Conservation District, I've had the opportunity to work on real issues, supporting agriculture, managing resources responsibly, and helping strengthen our local economy. Those experiences have shown me that good leadership at the county level isn't complicated, but it is important. To me, it comes down to getting the basics right, supporting local businesses and agriculture, maintaining roads and infrastructure, managing natural resources responsibly, and making sure county government is transparent, accountable, and easy to work with. And I think most people here would agree. When county government is working well, you don't have to think about it every day. Things just work. Services are dependable, decisions are made clearly and responsibly, and that's the goal. I believe in listening first, working with people across the community, and making decisions based on what works, not what works somewhere else. Wallowa County has always been a place where people step up, they work together, and they take care of one another. That's the kind of leadership that I bring to this role. At the end of the day, this isn't about politics. It's about people like you and me trying to live quality lives that we can be proud of. And about making sure Wallowa County remains a place where families can live, work, and build a future. I believe in this community, I'm invested in this community, and I would be honored to earn your trust and support. Thank you very much.
The questions will be posed and answered in the order that they are in my program. And they were kind of random. Okay, so Cody Lathrop, you are first. Cody is running for County Commissioner position number 2. And the first question is there anything you would want to change about Wallowa County?
That question is change about Wallowa County. I'm going to be honest with you. When I left for the military, when I graduated high school, the same car that used to sit on the same road that I used to take the bus to school every day is still sitting there today. But what it does is when I drive home, when I was in the military or when I was out doing all my schooling, when I came home, what I noticed and what I cared about was that vehicle that we used to just write off. We didn't even care about it at the time. It was still sitting there. And it brought a feeling of home. When I left, I remember looking at the mountains and not thinking anything about them until I came back and I realized how important it is. So when it comes to have change in our county, no, I don't feel like we have anything to really change. We can get better at what we do, but when it comes to change, I don't think we have anything to change in such a beautiful, and we need to be honestly excited and teach our kids how lucky they are to be in a place like what we have.
What I think I would change about Wallowa County, I honestly think we're a county divided. I see a lot of division in our county, and I would really like to see us come together and work as one to really improve what we have. We have a wonderful county, we have a wonderful community, and I think we can make it grow and make it better and make it more prosperous if we all work together and work towards that one goal.
The most painful thing I experience, and it's not unique to the county, is the differences that we have, the animosity between people politically. We pay attention to labels rather than who people really are. And this, looking around this room, looking across this stage, people who are so diverse, and yet we share so much, the appreciation for this county and what we have here. I would love to see us find that appreciation in one another.
I'm the non-affiliated candidate, been non-affiliated most of my life, except when I changed parties to vote for Mr. Nash. And what I see is, as a non-affiliated, is the two parties are pulling us apart. And we need to come back together. We need to join hands. We need to all work together to make Wallowa County better instead of being pulled apart by parties. And it's very evident when you come to the court meetings that the parties are pulling us apart. We need to unify and stay unified.
The room, and I see a lot of folks in here that remember what Wallowa County was. And I didn't have the pleasure of getting to be here in the 1980s and 1990s. We've lost a massive timber industry. We've lost a lot of our agricultural base, and those are major industries that supported this county. What I would like to see change is maybe getting back to where some of the roots of the county came from, looking at trying to get some timber harvested and get some timber dollars back into the county to help maintain and build future infrastructure. I would agree this isn't a partisan position, and it shouldn't be about politics and a divide. And I think we really do need to work together and help create a stronger community.
All right, the second and final question for the county commissioners is, how will you make Wallowa County welcoming and safe for all residents, including BIPOC and LGBTQ community members?
We're talking about being safe, respected. That's what we're doing at the city right now. Right now, what we're working on is one of the questions that was, or one of the issues that was proposed was housing. So one of the things that we're working on is trying to find affordable ways for housing within the city. And we're also looking at different ways that we can bring in middle income, low income, but we're also looking at making sure that we we increase our housing inventory. Now, I know that doesn't necessarily mean that we're accepting to, it doesn't necessarily string together that said, hey, look, this is our housing is connected to, oh, what am I trying to say here? Have you ever got halfway, I'm making Dick do his job here. What I mean is, housing is a lot of times connected to whether or not people feel accepted into our community. The other day at our city council meeting, we had a woman show up and tell us her story about how she was a recovering addict, somebody who had worked incredibly hard to get to the point where she is now, but unfortunately, she can't find housing. And unfortunately, you sit there and you look at it and you go, yeah, that is absolutely true. When we start looking at our policies and our culture, and as these guys mentioned just a second ago, with our politics pulling us apart.
30 seconds.
Yes. I do believe that we can absolutely come together. As a teacher in our local school district, I get to see this on a first-hand basis all the time. I get to see us work together with our communities. As a coach football, I was able to see our players come together who may not necessarily like each other outside of that football field, but at the end of the day, they come together and they are a family. We are Wallowa County, and that is exactly what I propose doing forward.
Back to the first question, and being a united community where everybody's accepted, I think is a really good start. And coming from a healthcare community, I think understanding that we all have differences, we all have different backgrounds, but that just makes us stronger. I mean, being able to really talk to people about those differences and accept things, open our minds and accept things that we may not understand, but really getting to know people and meeting people where they live, I think is very important. And I have a law enforcement background, enforcing our laws. We have laws that allow people free speech, letting them talk, making sure that people have a say in what happens in our community, and that it's okay for them to speak their mind. We all have the right to do that.
In business for years, I've had to deal with all kinds of people, and one of the people that wrote a letter on my campaign said, you know, when I got here, I had no money, I needed help, John came and helped, and that's the attitude I've always had. I don't care what color, what political stance you have, or gender stance. I've always been there, I've always helped people, and I think as a community, we should reach out and do that same kind of work. People are always welcome at the courthouse, always welcome about my business. I've never turned anybody away, whether you got money or not. I think it's just something that we need to work on as a group. There's been some bad things done that shouldn't have been done, but I think we could work together and maybe clear up some of those things.
To start off with, I'll provide leadership. I believe this is one community. It's not one or the other community. Everybody who lives here is a part of the community, and if I'm accessible to the community and I'm doing a good job communicating in my position and bringing folks together, providing that leadership also provides safety. It also provides a welcoming nature for them to feel accepted and feel welcome in the community. I think that as a commissioner, your role is to provide the leadership and to work closely with the sheriff's office, who does provide the safety for the community. And you know, it's a difficult question to ask, or to be asked to. Getting off track like Cody did here. Essentially, bringing the community together and being a leader that is accepting and hearing of everybody's concerns. That's how I can make them feel better.
Okay, oh my goodness, there are a lot of you. Hi, I'm Alicia Zini from Joseph, and I'm the county's representative for the New Orleans border for Greater Idaho. On May 19th, you'll decide whether our county commissioners must continue holding 2 public meetings each year, in February and August, about how to promote Wallowa County's interests in possibly relocating the Oregon-Idaho border. I urge you to vote no on the repeal measure and keep the meetings alive. In 2023, you passed a measure by a narrow but clear margin. It didn't order anyone to move the border. It simply required our elected commissioners to sit down with us twice a year in open public meetings and talk about the county's interest in moving the border. The original border moving effort began during COVID, when overreaching restrictions from Salem obviously didn't fit our rural counties. Because the citizen ballot petition requires that a law be created, the 2023 measure asked if commissioners should be required to hold meetings, along with penalties for failure to do so. It passed by a slim margin. Since then, policies coming out of Salem continue to hurt our ranches, farms, small businesses, and our families, while Idaho's legislature continues to pass measures that would protect the rural way of life we've built here in Wallowa County, only adding to the sentiment that moving the border is a viable solution. Regular meetings matter for 3 reasons. First, they are real democracy. Eastern Oregon has watched for decades as a legislature dominated by the Portland metro area rewrites the rules for illegal aliens, illicit drugs, guns, land use, natural resources, schools. We are outnumbered, outvoted, and often ignored, despite sending our best and brightest representatives to Salem. Twice yearly meetings force local leaders to listen to us regularly, not just at election time. They give every rancher, farmer, logger, parent, and business owner a guaranteed seat at the table. While these groups haven't attended many past meetings, simply holding meetings in the evening could change that. Second, the meetings keep us informed. The Greater Idaho movement is not a fringe idea. It has already passed in 13 Eastern Oregon counties. Our meetings let us talk about timely questions like taxes, regulation, constitutional rights, and economic opportunity. Continuing the meetings doesn't commit us to anything. It simply keeps the facts in front of us so we can decide together when or if the time is ever right. Third, shutting the meetings down doesn't kill the sentiment behind them. Dissatisfaction with Salem's treatment of Eastern Oregon will continue and instead bubble beneath the surface. Some people are frustrated that the meetings haven't produced instant results. That frustration is exactly why we need the meetings. Open, structured discussion is how disagreements get aired and societal pressure is released. Killing the conversation because it's uncomfortable is not leadership, is surrender. Wallowa County is the only county in the movement currently trying to silence itself. We should keep talking. These meetings cost taxpayers almost nothing. They are held in the courthouse we already paid for. They last a couple of hours twice a year. That is a tiny price for the right to have our voices
30 seconds.
On the single biggest long-term question facing our county. This is not about whether you love or hate the Greater Idaho idea. This is about whether you believe Wallowa County voters deserve an official forum to keep talking about it. Vote no on the repeal. Keep the meetings, keep the conversation alive, keep control of our own future. Thank you.
My name is Shauna Januzzi. I'm a 7th generation Oregonian and a 6th generation Wallowa County resident. I want to start by saying something I feel deeply. When a lawmaker in Salem looks a Wallowa County rancher in the eye and says, "It's not that we don't hear you, it's just that we outvote you," that is not representation, that is dismissal. The frustration that built this movement is honest, and it is justified. And I'm not here to tell you it isn't, but I am here to ask you one question. Are these mandatory meetings actually moving us closer to where we want to be? Oregon has no sales tax. Idaho charges 6%. Idaho taxes property at full market value, reassessed every single year with no cap. Oregon limits how fast your assessed value can grow. For anyone sitting in this room on land that is appreciated, most of ours has, that difference adds up fast. That 6% sales tax hits every tank of fuel and every cart of groceries. When the Greater Idaho movement adds it all up themselves, they say the average Idahoan pays about $1,700 less per year. For a family, that's real money, but it's not a transformation. And lower taxes only help if the paycheck is there to tax. Oregon teachers earn an average of $77,000 a year. Idaho teachers earn $61,500 per year. Idaho ranks dead last in the nation in per pupil school spending. Not 49th, last. If you're a nurse in Oregon, you earn around $98,000 to $108,000 annually. In Idaho, the same nurse earns $75,000 to $78,000. That is a gap of $20,000 to $30,000 every year. I'm not saying Idaho is a bad state. I'm saying the picture is more complicated than that. We are required by law to meet twice a year to sit in a room and confirm that nothing has changed. Here's what I'd rather see. Our commissioners set the county budget, every dollar, every priority. They decide which county roads get maintained and which don't. They run the sheriff's office, the fairgrounds, the emergency services. They appoint the planning commission that shapes development decisions. And through the Association of Oregon Counties, they have a genuine seat at the table in Salem. Commissioners from across the state have shown that they can move legislation, protect rural budgets, and push back on regulations that hurt agricultural communities. That is not nothing. That is local government doing its job. And right now, their calendar has a hole in it twice a year. A mandatory meeting on a goal that Salem, Boise, and the courts have all signaled is not happening on any foreseeable timeline. Voting yes on this measure is not walking away from the fight. It is telling our commissioners, stop marking time and start spending it on problems you can actually solve. That is the most conservative vote on this ballot. And it's the one that actually does something for Wallowa County. Thank you.
Thank you, Diane. This one's going to be really quick. So I saw a Chevron down here, $6.50 for diesel. Do you want to pay 6 cents more? If the answer is no, then vote no on this. If you want to see an increase in registration fees, if your answer is no, then you vote no on 120. So it's real basic. If you want to increase all those things, vote yes. That's it.
All right, so we are fortunate to have some candidates from other areas of the state, and I would like to welcome up U.S. Representative 2nd District candidate Peter Larson, Democrat Don Rasmussen, Patty Snow, Chris Beck, and Rebecca Mueller.
Awesome. Well, thank you everybody for being here today and inviting me to come on stage here. My name is Peter Larson. I'm running as a Republican in the Congressional District 2 primary against our incumbent Cliff Bentz. A little bit about me. I am a native Oregonian, born and raised. I have a bachelor's degree from Oregon State University. I have my master's of arts in teaching from Western Oregon University. I was a social studies teacher for a while over in the small timber town of Sweet Home, Oregon. I now reside in LeGrand with my beautiful wife, who actually works in Wallowa County, and I have 2 boys, 3 and 1. So just some quick facts about Congressional District 2. It's certainly the largest in Oregon, 7th largest in the United States. Right now, 40% of our residents are on Medicaid, Medicare, and rely on SNAP benefits. Our residents, on average, earn $20,000 less than the rest of the state of Oregon. Okay? Right now, we are paying sky-high prices at the grocery store, we are losing health care, and we are paying more for possibly less health care in our rural areas, including pharmacies, clinics, and hospitals. Okay? We are also now involved in another foreign Middle Eastern oil war that has sent our diesel and gas prices through the roof. And as I go through all this, I look around and I go, where's our leadership? Where's Cliff Bentz? He refuses to hold town halls in our district, public town halls. Okay? Just last week in Baker County, he was moderating, and he noted for the Baker Herald that he refuses to hold those town halls because he doesn't like to get yelled at. Okay? Part of the job of a congressman is to be yelled at. In fact, Americans are very good at yelling. Okay? As a former high school teacher, I have been yelled at, and in fact, at town halls that I've hosted, because I've hosted more than he has now this year, I have been yelled at. Okay? As somebody who would like your vote, okay, I would represent you. My first promise is to hold a town hall in every one of the 22 counties that make up Congressional District 2. Okay? I will be out there and I will listen to you. Thank you. I will listen to you. I do not have all the answers. None of us do. At all. Neither does Cliff. But that's the job of being congressmen, to come out and listen to the people, whether it's a new county commissioner or certainly the residents of the area. I'll go to Grants Pass, I'll go to Troy, go to Burns, Fields, wherever that might be. Okay? The goal is to come listen to you. Okay? There are a lot of issues that face us today. There's a lot of issues that I don't have time for because Dave's going to ring the bell, and that's okay. I'm happy to talk to you over there. I'll be right back there by my sons. But one thing I do want you to note is that if I do represent you in Congress, there will be 3 things, and only 3 things that I am thinking about. Okay? First, okay, will be to say a quick prayer for wisdom as I vote in your stead in Congress. The second will be, does it follow the Constitution? And the third will be, how does this actually impact and affect the residents of Eastern Oregon? Okay. All right, again, I'm Peter Larson, and thank you very much.
Anyway, my name is Dawn Rasmussen. I'm from the Dalles, and I live there with my husband. Before I started my own business, I have been in tourism. I have known Wallowa County for quite some time, and I know how important tourism is to this area. And now I am currently the owner of a small career services firm for the last 18 years. I've served over 5,000 people, helping them write resumes, find jobs, and negotiate salaries so they have a better way of life. Now, you could say that my whole background is all about helping people, and that would be very true, combined with all of my history working in the community and volunteering in the community as well. Now, why am I running? Well, it's born out of sheer frustration. Yes, I'm a Democrat, but I see that this representation here in this district has to represent me too. And my take on it is, you do not get to choose what you want to hear from your constituents. You have to be available to hear the good, the bad, and the ugly. You cannot be afraid. So in the past 6 months, 7 months almost, 7 months now, I've been zooming all over the state. Today I hit 9,433 miles going across the state. And I know what it means to get out there and talk to people. I also know that people in rural areas are very proud. They want to have their independence, they want their sovereignty, they don't want handouts. But they do want someone who's going to listen to them. So one of my key points is, number 1 is to have a return representation and service. So I'm going to be having as many town halls, if not more, than Berkeley and Wyden. So that means getting out there talking to people. And I will also make sure that all the constituents here in this district get the care and concern that they deserve for the issues that they bring up, not just getting blanket letters several weeks later that are just templates. That's not acceptable. And I also think that we need to have much more activity versus just talking about it, but bringing home community-based funding projects. Cliff Medicine brought $0 to this district. We need help. Oregon has a lot of things going for it, but we also need some very definite investment in our communities. I've been creating a whole matrix as I go around the state, finding out what those community needs are. So I know as soon as I get in office where to start advocating for money so we can help our communities that have been struggling. Now, I do want to tell you that I am an action person. So I have been on the school board in the Dalles, and one of the most difficult things that we did was hire a superintendent during the middle of the pandemic. That was tough, let me tell you, especially with all the restrictions. So we got that done. I'm also the admin for the Columbia Gorge Wildland and Fire Information page. I grew that page from 14,000 people to now 40,000 people. It's now the key trusted information source across the whole gorge about fires, so people can learn to protect themselves, hear about fires, protect themselves and their property and their businesses. That is service. Service is my mentality. I've also served on the farmers market board, so I know talking to farmers what their biggest concerns are because I just want to know how they do their business. I live in a small farm town in Wisconsin, so I know right now that many of you are struggling, hanging on by the skin of your teeth, basically, to try to make things happen. And we also have to make sure that we have community resilience in the face of all these increased wildfires. So we need to basically get money out of politics and protect our lands and support our communities. And there's so many things. I only have a couple more minutes or seconds. Sorry. And so my campaign slogan is New Dawn for Oregon, and I urge you to step out into the light and have hope.
I live in Phoenix, Oregon, which is right outside of Medford in Jackson County. I was born and raised in a small rural town in southern Idaho, much like eastern Oregon. And it was a very conservative area, much like eastern Oregon. As a matter of fact, I'm not sure they let Democrats in Burley. But I learned from my Republican parents the importance of fiscal responsibility, the importance of not having government dictate how to live your life. But I also learned that in a small community, it's imperative that people look out for each other. So if your neighbor is hurting, if they're in the hospital, you go over, you take care of them, right? And I brought that along with me as I moved through life. The other thing my parents taught me that I thought was very important was that if there is a problem, you don't complain about it, you don't point a finger and blame someone else for it, you get in and fix it. And that has served me well throughout my career. So I was raised by Republicans. When I went to college at University of Idaho, I discovered Democrats. And I found out they weren't as crazy as I had been told. And from my Democrat friends, I learned that they believed in taking care of each other just like we did in our small community. They believed in people's rights. They believed in protecting the environment. And those things spoke to me. So I actually changed to the Democratic Party when I went to college. But as I have gotten older, I have started to wish more and more that we didn't have political parties in our country. Because political parties create division, and division weakens the country. Now, I doubt very seriously that in my lifetime I'm going to see political parties going away. But what I can do is I can bring that philosophy of bringing everyone together to my campaign and to my running to be your representative. When I look out at people, I don't see red, I don't see blue, I see Americans. I see members of the 2nd District, and we have many things in common. And I'm running not to represent just the Democrats or just the Republicans. I am running to represent every one of you. I don't care if you wear a red hat or if you're out there protesting on the corner. You would be represented by someone who cares about your needs. As was mentioned, this is a very large district, over 70,000 square miles, and it's very diverse. Now, I've lived in rural communities, I've also lived in metropolitan areas, but I cannot know everything you need in your county. That's why it's so important, as Don was saying, that we get out to see you. Back in the back, I have a box that says questions for Patty. And there are cards there. I would ask you to please fill out a card with a question or a comment of what you feel is important. Those answers will be addressed on my website, as well as on my podcast that's going to be starting the last week of April called Purple Patriots. Because that's what you get when you mix blue and red, you get purple.
Sitting up here, I can't help but think that this is what the founders of the country wanted. They wanted us in rooms like this, with our disagreements, talking to elected people or candidates for office. The question to some of the candidates earlier about how to get people accepting each other, a lot of it starts just doing this kind of thing. So we've had some great forums, all of us. It's maybe the largest, the one that I've been to. Maybe Medford, there was a bigger one. But It's remarkable, and I just want to celebrate you all for being here, and this is what we need from our members of Congress going forward. I grew up in Oregon, in Portland. 50 years ago this spring, my papa took me over here, drove me over because he was helping Governor Straub implement the Hells Canyon National Recreation Area that had just passed, bipartisan in Congress. And I remember sitting up on the hill at Ken Whitty's house. I don't know if any of you knew Ken. He's an ODFW guy. And I just remember, I was just a kid, I was in 6th grade, and I just remember looking up at those mountains and the moon. I fell in love with this place. I've never lost it. I've come back here many, many times the rest of my life. And so I'm jealous of all of you for being able to live here. After college, I had a life in public service. I worked in the state legislature. I was committee staff for the Senate Ag and Natural Resources Committee. I worked for a national nonprofit on conservation issues, and eventually ended up in Washington, D.C. for 6 years at the USDA headquarters working on rural economic development issues. While I was at USDA, the Secretary of Agriculture, Mr. Vilsack, would often talk about rural America. And he would say, you know, most of the food we eat comes from rural America. Most of the food, most of the wood for our houses is grown and cut and processed in rural America. Most of the water is stored in rural America. Most of the energy is generated in rural America. And even most of our most important recreation opportunities occur in rural America. He would give that speech to people in cities. And it always resonated with me, and it was the perspective I've taken since then and would bring to Congress if I am elected. If I'm elected, I would work to serve on the House Agriculture Committee and work with those USDA programs that I'm somewhat familiar with, some more than others. It's a massive agency and has a huge impact on all of our lives in this community, as most of you know. It's an old agency. It needs reform. It probably needs programs that need to go away or be revised. It probably needs some programs that need to be eliminated
30 seconds.
or expanded. I would focus my time on USDA policy. Finally, for those of you who are non-affiliated voters, if you'd like to vote for me, you can re-register to vote before April 28th as a Democrat. We won't tell anybody. And you can vote for me, and then you can change it back later if you'd like. You have until the 28th of April. And I would encourage you to do it. It's very easy to go online and do it. Thank you for your time.
And I'm a pediatrician, a rural pediatrician. I'm a mother and I'm an advocate. I worked in rural healthcare for 15 years. What this means is that for 15 years, I've had a lot of experience talking to folks that disagree with me, or disagree with what I was trained, or disagree with some of the policies and procedures that are often reflected in American healthcare. What that also means is that I've had 15 years to check my judgment at the door and to come in the room and focus on common ground, common goals, collaboration. And I'm happy to tell you that even working in rural Oregon, a very libertarian red area, Eagle Point, Oregon, I was able to do that, build trust, have folks continue to see me regardless of how they felt about vaccines, COVID restrictions, about having open and honest conversations with teenagers, all of that working to build trust and collaboration across differences. I also had the opportunity to be in leadership at our local hospital. I chaired the Women's and Children's Department for 4 years. And what was astounding to me and was also reflected in an early hospital that I had worked at was how much big city hospitals took their expertise in their academia and limited what we were able to do for our communities based on no evidence, based on their gut, based on whatever restrictions they thought were reasonable, and it changed our ability to care for our communities. I can tell you, in 15 years, I have also sat down with family after family, and this is why I'm inspired to run. Because my families are working 1, 2, sometimes 3 jobs. And those moms come in ashamed that their child had to be in childcare, that maybe they were treated poorly, maybe they're coming to see me because now they have a new bruise. And the parents are ashamed that they can't figure out how to make their finances work, that they can't figure out how to send their kids to soccer, that they can't figure out how to pay for the things that they think they should be able to afford. And at the same time, in these 15, 20, even 30 years that I've been an adult, I've heard the same speeches in Washington, the same list of things that we need to fix. We need to fix healthcare, we need to fix Social Security, we need to fix infrastructure. Have we gotten very far? No, we're still having the same conversation. So while my patients sit there feeling shame, they have Republicans in this, sorry, I did not mean to say Republicans, I meant to say politicians. They have politicians in the state house and in the federal government that are pointing fingers of blame, asking for people's money, pocketing their stock investments, and not getting things done for the American people. And that is what inspires me to run. I also grew up Christian conservative. I am still a Christian. I am no longer a conservative. And I feel that a large part of the reason is by working with people, day in, day out, hearing stories, and again, putting my judgment at the door,
30 seconds.
Looking at them, and bringing that essential piece of human dignity and mutual respect, which has to be a key part of every democracy. The last thing I'm going to say is that I highly encourage anyone that comes to hear me speak not to just vote for me or give to my campaign, but to change the way we talk to each other, to change the way we look at our neighbors. I was inspired to hear your panel up here speak, and it was great to just hear it affirmed that we agree we have more in common than different. Thank you very much. I'm going to ask the Republican candidates to join me, Daniel Bethel and Deal.
I'm excited to be out here. I missed the hunting trip last fall where my son got a big elk just up the road from here, but my family spends a lot of time in Eastern Oregon, mostly for natural resource access. I'm a 5th generation Oregonian, married into a timber family. I was born in Lane County. Today, I'm a small business owner and a 2-term Republican City County Commissioner in Marion County. Turns out there are counties that are still partisan, and Marion County has been Republican run for 48 years, even with Salem being in it. I can tell you that we can work across the aisle to get things done. It's possible. I have done it as a commissioner. Before I was a county commissioner, I was a Chamber of Commerce director and a member of the Kaiser Rotary Club, so service above self is a big thing for me, and I can tell you that small businesses are at the heart of the state, and something that I fight for every single day as a commissioner. I'm running for governor because I have children and grandchildren and a husband and a business, and we live in a rural community that is just barely surviving. I'm sick and tired of having to wake up every day wondering what it's going to be, something coming out of the legislature or ignorance from the governor's office that impacts every single decision I think I should make for myself. I was born in Eugene to married parents. They divorced when I was 3 because my mom had a serious mental health issue that transitioned into an addiction. I had the opportunity to follow her along the I-5 corridor from Astoria, Woodburn to Ashland. I know lots about Phoenix and White City and all the other places of the candidates that we're just going to go talk about. The first time I was homeless was in Gold Hill. The last time I was homeless was in Salem. My mom left when I was 16. I was a Democrat until I was 30. Unlike Ms. Snow, I went to college and became a Republican. And can tell you that we can work across the aisle. But I think it's important for you to know the foundation of who I am. I'm running because as a county commissioner, I've been able to solve some really big issues. In fact, when Senator Nash was a commissioner, I fought really hard for him and his voice and his space with the Association of Oregon Counties about wolves. I fought back against liberal leaders in the county space, making sure that as he and his voice progressed, they stayed in their lane.
And I would say for a fact, even this year, Washington County Commissioner Catherine Harrington said on the record that she wasn't going to weigh in on Eastern Oregon issue because it wasn't hers to weigh in on. In 2021, when Todd and Catherine were having a battle over wolves, I raised my hand and asked the question, how many wolves are in Washington County? Do you all know the answer? 0. I wanted to know why her voice was important in that fight. If she's not experiencing, why is she showing up in the conversation? I built a relationship with her and many, many other Democrats across this state to understand why they're in the conversation they should be participating in. If it doesn't affect you, why are you fighting back? Now I have a relationship and understanding as to what their morals are, but it had nothing to do with their job and fighting them to stay in their lane and building their trust and producing real outcomes. I fought and recriminalized drugs in Oregon. House Bill 4002, passed in the 2024 session, was done under my leadership as the Association of Oregon Counties president on policy that was drafted in my county with myself, my sheriff, and my district attorney. I understand how these states should be run. At the end of the day, I believe we need an executive in the office, not a legislator, and not somebody that just comes straight back from Idaho or California, wherever Chris came from, who's a good friend of mine, but knows I feel this way, to represent Oregonians. I've been fighting my whole life to thrive here. We all deserve to thrive, not just survive. I understand how the systems work. I can reduce government. I can produce outcomes. And if you look at my website and ask questions later, I guarantee you you'll appreciate the answers. I loved my drive here today. Thank you.
Good afternoon. It's great to be here. This is an awesome turnout. And I tell you what, I love this part of the state. I did some work at RY Timber years ago in that sawmill. Did 2 projects. My favorite part was that I got to come back here, go in the mountains. My name is Ed Deal. Honored to be running for governor. I'm currently a state representative for House District 17, covers East Salem through the majestic Santiam Canyon. I serve on Santiam Hospital Board, Santiam Hospital and Clinics Board. I serve on Catholic Community Services Foundation Board as well. I've been a state representative for 4 years. And most recently, I had the opportunity to lead the transportation tax and fee referendum, the one that Senator Todd Nash so eloquently spoke to. And I have Senator Nash's endorsement. Thank you very much, Senator Nash. But I had the opportunity to lead that volunteer effort, the No Tax Oregon effort. 250,000 signatures in 38 days. I don't know if you guys all know how significant that was. That is huge. That is Oregon history. And we have the opportunity to show it wasn't a fluke because we're running another referendum called the No Tax Clawback, which is Governor Kotek wants to claw back a lot of federal tax benefits that pass through because our state tax code is connected. So that referendum is back there as well. That's a $311 million tax clawback to Oregonians and is primarily impacting business. I wanted to talk a little bit about my background, and also before I forget, I'm having a meet and greet at 6 o'clock at, where am I?
The Food Pavilion.
Food Pavilion. And I'll field any questions you guys want, bring it on, but that'll be at 6 o'clock at the Food Pavilion. So my background, I grew up in Western Montana, don't hold that against me. My wife, Jamie, over there, she works with me. She worked in my business. She also works in the Capitol with me. She grew up in Scioto. But I grew up on a cattle ranch in Western Montana. My dad was a logger and a truck driver. One grandpa was a sawmiller, the other was a forest ranger. I know what it's like to live in a frontier area far away from a capital where decisions are being made, and that shapes my perspective. That's why as governor, I will be the first governor with an office, permanent office in Eastern Oregon. I've already committed to an office in Prineville and an office in Hermiston. I want to make sure all Oregon voices are heard. And so that's very important to me to be part of that. But that shaped me. I got a scholarship to Stanford University. That's actually where I met my wife. I have a bachelor's and master's in mechanical engineering. We moved to Oregon to raise our kids, build a family, and build my business. My background is in business and engineering. We did factory control systems for everything from putting rivets in Boeing 747 wings to making 2x4s. That's what took me to RY Timber. It was a great career. I built that business from scratch. I sold a car. I left my credit cards, put everything I owned on the line, left a good job to do it, and built this with 2 business partners. We built it up to 100 employees in multiple offices around the country, and I sold that 8 years ago.
30
And I've
seconds.
done a lousy job of retiring, as you can tell. I want to restore government accountability, affordability, and a thriving economy, and I know we can do it with the right leadership at the top. My platform is calling for tax cuts, not tax increases. That means elimination of the corporate activities tax and hidden sales tax on all Oregonians, capping property taxes for senior citizens, eliminating the death tax, and that's just the beginning. I will rework and reorganize every state agency to make sure we have representation that represents the diverse interests of our state. And there's a lot more behind it. Talk to me at 6 o'clock.
So I'd now like to welcome Democratic candidates for governor, Forrest Alexander, Brittany Jones, and Tristan Slufford.
High quality. Wow, they're really hard on you. Okay, great. Hey, everybody. My name is Forrest Alexander. I go by Fora. I'd like to name the elephant in the room, if that's all right. Yes, I am transgender. No, I do not want to bankrupt the economy or, spend all my time with your kids. I really don't like kids all that much. I am not here to tell you that everything is going well. It isn't. And I think what you get with me that you may not get with folks who have held this position before is someone who is deeply uncomfortable with lying. The question was asked earlier how to make people like me feel safe. And I really want to speak to that because I could have come up here with presented and prepared comments, but I would much rather tell you how it feels. I grew up in Texas. I'm here because of the division that we're talking about. I'm here because when we let hate and division be the driving force of policy, people like me have to leave. We don't get to stay and see the car we saw driving to high school. I don't know which of my cousins are doing well. I haven't seen my parents or my grandparents in 6 years. That is what happens when human beings become punching bags. And it's happening to you too. Because the narrative for people like me is that I should be terrified to come out here. That as soon as I walk into the bathroom, somebody's going to harass or berate me. Or that somebody might yell and get upset. I don't know if I've ever lived through a time where it's more appropriate to be upset. I don't know where I've had this much difficulty I appreciate that this space is grounded in community, and I appreciate that you all chose to honor the flag. Some may have noticed I didn't. It's really hard. It's really, really hard for me right now. It's hard for me to say that I'm proud to be American. It's hard.
30 seconds.
But what it isn't difficult to do is to stand in front of you and tell you that I am proud to be Oregonian. And that the Democrats who have run before couldn't care less about your day-to-day. But here I am. So I hope you'll take some time to talk to me afterward.
speech written, but I'm not going to read it because it would be the first time that I actually read a speech at something like this. I usually just talk with you because that's what a governor should do. I am a veteran, a parent. I am a poverty level working class Oregonian that has lived the struggles. I am Patagonic. My tribe is located in Virginia. And I want to recognize that we are on tribal land, that the tribes were here before colonization, and we will continue to be here all over America. That being said, everybody else is here now too, and we all need to work together. But that's not going to happen as long as we keep voting for big money to be in politics. Because I was at the Democratic Party of Oregon Gala yesterday, and I walked up to Kotek, and I invited her to her face to come debate me and the other Democrats. And she scoffed, said, "Who's throwing it?" I said, "I am. My campaign." Because the Democratic Party of Oregon refuses to acknowledge that she is being challenged. I have social anxiety, pardon the quiver in my voice. After serving this country, I'm seeing a very real threat from the corporations, the corporate leadership, the establishment politicians, that can't even bother to come out here and talk to you face to face. And that is what I am running to replace. I believe it's time for a working class, poverty level citizen that has been homeless, served the country, struggled to maintain a small business, raising children in the state. And I understand the failures because I have experienced them, and I know how to fix them. Because lived experience is absolutely transferable to professional experience when you know the rules that failed you. I shouldn't have been on the streets as a veteran, but I did not serve one day in a combat zone, so the VA and every other homeless program for veterans would not help, and I had 2 children in my tent with me. That should not be happening. Not in America, not in Oregon. So if you are tired of the corporate boot on your neck, if you are tired of the large corporations, the large agriculture, the corporations coming in from out of state and taking your jobs, taking your land, destroying the environment, it's time to stand up. It's time to get somebody in office that's willing to come out. After I was at the ICE facility till midnight last night as well. So we woke up and came straight here today. And I'm just going. I gave up my house to drive around Oregon to meet people. Because that is what's needed. And at the end of the day, you're not paid to vote. So why does it matter that Kotek has over $3 million of reward checks? She's not paying you. She could be using that money to feed people. And she's not. She's hiding. She's avoiding candidate forums. She's avoiding debates. She could have been here today, and she's not. What does that tell you about our elected officials? The Democratic Party isn't perfect. I prefer to run unaffiliated, but that's not how the game is played. And I have to play the game to win, to get in there, to break it. And that's what I intend to do. Because it's time for it to get back to the people.
30 seconds.
If you are ready for a revolution, a political revolution, like the manufacturing revolution, the scientific revolution, a revolution without bloodshed, where your greatest weapon is your vote, then vote for me, because I will fight like hell for you. Thank you.
My name is Tristan Shepard. I'm running for governor because I believe public service is simple. You show up when people need it, and you stay when it's not easy. I'm not a career politician. I come from emergency services. I've got my firefighter and EMT. I spent years responding to some of the worst days of people's lives. That changes how you see things, changes how you see problems, and also how you think about solutions. I grew up in a small rural community east of the Cascades. It's called Parkdale, if any of you know about it. Like many here, I understand what it means to rely on your neighbors, to work hard and take care of your own. In my career, I've learned that leadership isn't about talking. It's about staying calm under pressure, making decisions with limited information, and taking responsibility for the outcomes. That's the mindset that I bring to this campaign. Oregon is facing real challenges right now. People are working harder, but falling further behind. Access to health care, especially mental health care, is still out of reach for far too many. And too often, government feels slow, distant, or like they're not listening at all. I don't believe that the answer is more politics. The answer is better service. That means focusing on what actually works, expanding access to mental health care before it becomes a crisis, supporting working families who are being squeezed by the rising costs, strengthening rural communities that are too often overlooked, and making government more accountable and transparent. In emergency services, we don't get to ignore problems or pass them off. We show up, assess the situation, and act. That's the approach Oregon needs right now. Leadership should be grounded in fairness and accountability. The same rules should apply to everyone, including people in the government. Trust is built when people know their leaders are held to the same standards that they are. Government should respect the rights of people and treat them fairly, no matter who they are or where they come from. In my line of work, you don't get to pick and help, or you don't get to pick and choose who you help, you just show up for everyone. And that's the standard government should meet. We should be willing to listen to people we agree with and people we don't. Because good ideas don't belong to one party or one group. They come from people who care about their communities and want to see them succeed. At the end of the day, this isn't about politics for me. This is about service. It's about making sure that people in Oregon, people who need help, whether it's economic, medical, or simply being heard, there's a system that works for them. And that's why I'm running. Thank you.
I made a mistake on the agenda. My apologies to U.S. Senate candidate Joey Perkins. So I would love to ask her to join me up here and talk with you for a little while.
Good afternoon, everybody. It is absolutely wonderful to be over here. My name is Jo Ray Perkins. Yes, and I'm running for the U.S. Senate. Apologies ahead of time to the Democrats, to unseat Senator Jeff Merkley. Many of you will recognize my name. I was your 2022 nominee against Ron Wyden and 2020 nominee against Jeff Merkley. There was a question earlier asked of the commissioner candidates about division. When it gets to the general election, no matter your party affiliation, you'll have an opportunity to vote for somebody, whether they're Republican, Democrat, unaffiliated, Libertarian, whatever. But I want to ask you all one thing. If you'll agree with me on the following. You all want to love and be loved. You all want to be able to put a roof over your head. Everybody wants to be able to put food on the table, provide for their families, and feel safe and secure in their homes. Is there anybody in here that disagrees? I see nobody that raised their hand. I bring that up because at the end of the day, we are way more the same than we are different. So I want to put that out there. And I think that when we start thinking that way, what do we have in common instead of what we don't have in common? I believe the role of the U.S. Senate and U.S. House of Representatives is succinct and is listed in the Constitution of the United States of America. I also believe that there's a lot of too much overreach by the federal government, doing things that they're not supposed to be doing, taking tax dollars from one state and doling it out to another state. Now, how many in here want their hard-earned money that they get to pay in taxes, you send to DC, or they take from you, and it goes to DC, and it ends up in another state? How many of you want your money to do that? Again, I see no hands. What's happening is we've got unelected bureaucrats in different agencies that are deciding where your money should be spent. It's unconstitutional. But there are some areas that are very constitutional. The number one duty of the federal government is to protect the citizens from our foreign enemies and from foreign invasion. To that end, Oregon is the first state to be a sanctuary state. And there's a lot of people across the state that don't like it. I have a bill to solve the problem. Right now, if somebody comes in this country unlawfully, without permission, I don't care how you want to phrase it, it is a civil fine, it's a misdemeanor. They get their hand slapped and they're asked to leave. I have a bill, it's on my website, jorayperkins.com, and it will make it a felony day one. Just like breaking and entering into your home You should not be able to do that. I welcome immigrants. Come here legally, is all we ask. Come in the front door the right way, like millions upon millions of people have already done. So I have that bill up there. The next bill that I have up there has to do with our wildfires on federal land. Right now, if a wildfire breaks out on federal land, Oregon Forestry Department has to call multiple federal agencies. What does that fire do? That's on
30
federal land.
seconds.
It is still burning out of control. My bill, Forest Rangelands and Natural Resources Act, would allow us to get in there immediately and start fighting those fires. That's going to keep these fires from getting out of control and keep them contained. I'm asking that, number one, you pray for every candidate that is running. We put a lot of miles, as one of the candidates said, on our cars. We're on the road a lot away from our families. Number two, if you're Republican in the primary, I ask for your vote. And number three, donations are welcome for all of us candidates. Thank you so much for the opportunity to be here.
We have one final candidate, and again, my apologies for missing this earlier. We have State Representative candidate for District 58, Brian Campbell.
My name is Brian Campbell. My wife and I resided in Union County for 39 years. We raised our family there. My wife is a retired RN. I'm a retired auto mechanic, GM, so don't ask me about any Ford questions or Dodge questions, or didn't want to answer those. I grew up on the family sheep ranch 5 miles out of Kimberly, Oregon, in Grant County. Population 5 of Kimberly at the time, and now it's less than that there. The big things that I see in my lifetime is, the depopulation of small areas and the lack of people that really want to stay in these communities, and that's a huge issue we need to deal with. When my grandparents immigrated from Ireland 120 years ago, settled in the Lone Rock area of Gilman County, they, assumed that there would be a better life. They came here to make a better life for their children and their grandchildren. And at this point, we're coming to a place in this world where one rich person making one stock trade on insider information will make more in that trade than my family has made in the 5 generations that they have been in this, the 4 generations that they have been in the United States. And that's something we really need to address. It's not that there's a lack of money out there. There's more money out there than you can imagine, but it's not coming to the right people. We can't just point fingers and say it's the Democrats, the Republicans. There's a lot of faults go all the way around. But until we put some limits on campaign spending and things like that, there's not going to be much hope for changing this. But I can tell you one thing. If you want someone who's going to show up for you in the state house, I will show up and I will vote. And I will listen to you. I'm not, I am a Democrat, but I listen. And if you want people in Salem, you can say all day long, oh, they don't listen to us, they don't listen to us. Maybe you're sending the wrong people. Because you can't just say, oh, well, it's all the Republicans, it's all the Democrats. We got to work together. We're one state. And I strongly believe that the whole Greater Idaho thing is nothing but a waste of time. If anyone wants to talk to me about it later, I have a plan that I would like to share with you about the Greater Idaho. It's my version of Lesser Idaho. Anyway, I thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for the venue. Thank you for all the people here at the Wallowa County that put this on, the chamber. And I'm going to try to mention all the names of the people involved in it because I'm going to leave somebody out. I have a deep place in my heart for Wallowa County. My grandfather ran sheep in Wallowa County. Like I say, we've been here a long time. We recreate. We come up and have a beer, things like that. So I appreciate all of the people coming up here, and I will work for all the people for Wallowa County, Union County, and the portion of Umatilla County that is District 58. Thank you very much.
I was just notified, we didn't know Labor Commissioner candidate Chris Lynch is here. So Chris, would you like to come and talk with us?
I'm Chris Lynch. I'm running for Commissioner of the Bureau of Labor and Industries. Thank you all for letting me speak here. Louder? Okay. Sorry, this is very sensitive. Okay. Chris Lynch, running for the position of Commissioner of the Bureau of Labor and Industries. Really quick, I know that not all Oregonians are familiar with what the Bureau of Labor and Industries does. It's called BOLI, that's the acronym. If you don't know what BOLI does, good for you. That means that you dodged some bullets. BOLI is the state agency that enforces the wage and hour laws regarding overtime, minimum wage, child labor, prevailing wage. It enforces Oregon's laws for civil rights, both in employment, housing, and public accommodation. And the reason I'm running for commissioner is because BOLI is broken. It's been broken for the past 7 years. I can tell you that with confidence because I worked there. I started as an intern in 2005. I moved up to a civil rights investigator, then became a manager, and I stayed there through 2019. When there was a change in administration, the commissioner came in 2019. She came in during the midst of a conflict between BOLI and the legislature. BOLI was actually investigating the legislature for a sexual harassment case. And before the new commissioner came in, she summarily fired the heads of the agency, the divisions that managed all of the work that BOLI does. So when she came in the door, she flushed away a lot of institutional knowledge. And then she had the great idea, and on its face, it's a good idea. She had the great idea to lower the barriers for access to BOLI services for people to file complaints. But she didn't do anything to staff up or set up the processes to handle that excess workload. So she got rid of institutional knowledge, she increased the workload, and then the pandemic hit. And then she left. So I left at the beginning of that when I saw that was happening. I thought about running for commissioner the last cycle, 2022, but then I saw there was a candidate that I was familiar with, and I thought that she would probably do a pretty good job of stabilizing the agency. I was so optimistic about how that might work that I went back to work for her. This current incumbent, Commissioner Stevenson, who did not choose to come out and speak with you guys today. I went back to work for her, and I was shocked at how dysfunctional the agency has become. Now, she will tell the legislature, she will tell you that things are improving, things are on a good track. It's not true. They're playing a shell game inside of a black box. I know this because I know the people who work at BOLI. I talk to them, I know what's going on there, and they're good people, they're committed, but her leadership is completely absent. There's no effective communication, there's no clear policies, there's no documentation of important decisions that are being made. While I was briefly there, I saw her try to reinterpret a liability rule for employers retroactively. So an employer who had been playing by the rules up to this point was told that, oh, what you did under the previous interpretation of the rule, no, that's no longer the law. I watched her not lift a finger when—
30 seconds.
Okay. So I'm running to try and fix it. I know the work, I've done the work, I know the people. BOLI's never going to make everybody happy. They're always going to be overloaded. But I promise to be clear and transparent about what we're doing, how we're doing it, why we're doing it. And I believe the government, similar to any other entity you encounter in your life, whether it's the vet, the dentist, the car repair shop, you want employees.
So, first of all, I'd like to say thank you for everyone here today. And thank you for the candidates that are running for election. Without you, my job would be, well, really boring. As I look out, I see so many people I know. And I'm going to try to talk to you because I have same social anxiety too. So I'm talking to you, my friends. So let's get started. Primary elections are not gorgeous. They don't get nearly as much attention as a presidential or any other election, but they're still important. During a primary, decisions are made of who's going to be on the ballot for November. And sometimes during local races, decisions are made who's going to win. I am competitive by nature, and I take pride in the fact that Wallowa County consistently
has 77% turnout for presidential. Wow. That's pretty good for some Ontario. We won about 62% for all the other elections. They're the little ones, the district elections. So we average about third in the state. That's pretty good. But rural areas outperform big urban areas by a lot. And I think that's because we want to be heard. We are the small areas that want to be heard. When we vote, it sends a clear message that we're engaged. We're paying attention out here. We want people to know that we're still here, we're paying attention. It shows that we care enough to be involved from the beginning to the very end. So when people vote, we get a better picture of what we want as a county. So finally, voting is not just for candidates, it's for the values that you want to continue, you want to carry on. Remember, low turnout means the elections are still going to be happening, but with a lower voter turnout or input. So when your ballot shows up, review it, read your voter's pamphlet, and those should be coming here shortly. And mark your ballot. Make sure you sign it, send it back into me, and I will process it. So there is an issue. You probably discovered that I have a family member running for county commissioner. I've actually had people concerned about my ability to run the election. My first response is, heck, I run the election when I'm on the ballot. But seriously, Oregon has laws, and it dictates to how I conduct an election. And when I was elected, I signed an oath to support the Constitution and to follow the laws of the state of Oregon. I take that seriously. So if anybody out there has any concerns about me running the election, please show up. I'll show you what I do. You'll see. So finally, there are voters registration cards in the back. If you have a change to, say, your party affiliation, your address change, signature change, anything like that, please, there is a deadline. Please fill those out. If you are a Republican, you will be getting only the stuff that's on the Republican ballot. If they're a Democrat, same thing. You'll get just the stuff that's on the Democratic ballot. If it's a non-affiliated, you will get the county commissioner's positions, you'll get the measures, you'll get basically all the stuff that is not affiliated with the party. So you still have a chance to vote for your commissioners, the local races. So yes, you will get a ballot. All right, I have one quick thing. You guys have probably all heard about the SAFE Act. There's nothing happening right now. That's a big question. People call me quite a bit on. Right now, Oregon's going to continue with what we're doing. So let them fight it out in court, and then we'll be informed, all of us, you, me, everybody. But right now, everything's going to continue the way it has been. Thank you.
I want to ask you to join me in thanking Dick Burch for his many years of service to us. And he and his beautiful wife are going to be moving, I hear. So this may be the last time that he is our timer. Dick also has done so many things for this community during the years that he has lived here. We have how many defibrillators in the county now?
About 170.
170 in our rural areas, and he has personally trained many of the community members in those areas to run them. So being part of your Sunday here at the forum, I hope you learned a lot, and I hope you enjoyed it. Again, thanking the sponsors, the Chamber, Rotary Club, and the Wallowa County Stock Growers, and the community members who helped put this together. Again, remember, candidates are staying behind, so please do take the opportunity to visit with them. And if any of you have time to stay and help us put chairs away, that would be great. Please drive safely on your way home and enjoy your evening.